So you can always refer back to this. Um, there's a lot of names that I am not familiar with. So that's really awesome. Uh, my name is Mr. Uminski. I oversee the hotel and the hospitality management programs here in the department. And so a lot of the classes that I teach are focused on hotel management. But this food and beverage class is one of my favorite classes to teach um, because it deals a lot with math. And I have always loved math. All through high school, all through school, I've always loved math. And so my hope is that by the end of this semester, we have 10 weeks. Okay. Um, I have modified this class very minimally from the full 16-week semester. There's only a couple of assignments that I've taken out to make sure that we can get through everything in 10 weeks. But for the most part, this is um, the almost the exact experience you're going to get if you were to take my class in person during the full semester. My contact information is there on the screen. It is also on the homepage of Canvas. So if you need to get a hold of me, email is the best way. I'm only in the office on campus on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And so if you call me and leave me a message on Thursday, my voicemail, I'm not going to get to it until Tuesday of the next week. Okay. So the best way to get a hold of me is through email. All right. So let me move my bars around. Let me minimize this. Okay, there we go. All right. So what we're going to talk a little bit about today is here on the screen. And so let's jump right into it. So attendance is 10% of your overall final grade. And it's basically based on how you complete the assignments for the previous week. Okay. So if you have no assignments completed the previous week, then that's going to be counted as an absence. Some assignments will be counted as late, and then all assignments will get you your full attendance for that week. Okay. My policy is 8 a.m. on Monday mornings. Okay. How many of you have taken a class where the due date is 11:59 p.m.? Okay. I don't like that because I am a student as well. I'm working on my doctoral degree right now. I also did my master's while I was here at St. Philip's. And I don't like the 11:59 p.m. rule because I can guarantee you that I am not up at 11:59 p.m. to grade your assignments. Okay. So if I'm not grading your assignments 11:59 p.m., the rule that I came up with is to give you an extra 8 hours of work. And so your assignments are due on Monday morning, the start of our new week, by 8 a.m. Okay. Um, and then so after that on Monday morning, I'll log in and I'll check to see what assignments you've completed the previous week. If you got all the assignments, then I'll update your attendance accordingly. Okay. Any questions about the attendance policy and grading? All right. So as I mentioned, this is a 10-week course. Okay. So we go through summer one and summer two. Um, for this particular week, we're going to have your getting started quiz that will kind of break from that Monday rule because I want to make sure you get it done by Wednesday of this week. Okay. Also, your introductions and the discussion posts. I want you to be able to read through those and kind of get to know your classmates a little bit better. I will also be posting something this week as well. And then just make sure you respond to the number of students that the directions dictate for that. Okay. You will see some proving ground assignments. Those are completely optional. Okay. Um, I've gone through a training for digital badges. And so we have a resiliency badge. that you can earn through this course by completing the proving ground assignments. But they are optional and they do not count towards your final average of for your final grade. Okay. So I would do all of the coursework first before you do any proving ground assignments. Okay. There are due dates on the proving ground assignments, but if you miss that, you're not going to get points taken off. It's just because it's built into the design of the course. So if you finish up all the materials by the end a little early and you want to go back and do the proving ground, you can. But like I said, they do not impact your final grade. So even if you leave them undone, it's not going to impact your final grade. So don't stress about those. It's completely optional. Any questions about these assignments? All right. So there's actually only one conference this summer that we have as an option for extra credit. It is going to be June 19th to the 21st. Okay, that's June 19th to the 21st. And Chef Munoz is coordinating the volunteers for that event. I do not know specifically the the criteria or the different event or the different volunteer positions or shifts that he has scheduled. But if you have any questions and you'd like to volunteer, this conference is for high school teachers around the state of Texas. It's put on by the Texas Restaurant Association, so it's kind of like an in-service and training for those individuals, those high school teachers, to get more training so they can teach their high school students a little bit more effectively. So again, that's June 19th to the 21st, and you can email Chef Munoz if you want to volunteer for that. And then just let me know once you're done volunteering what you did, what you learned from the experience, and then I can offer that extra credit. All right.
How
So,
much, excuse me, Chef, how much
yeah,
extra credit is that worth?
it's a very good question, Rachel. I hadn't thought about that. Um, I would say, I'm going to say I would add 2 points to your final average. So, like if you ended up with an 88 and you volunteered at that event, then I can bump you up to a 90. Good question. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget that I made that commitment. Okay. All right. So, this is I think the third semester that I've taught this class online. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I was always very hesitant to teach this class as an online format because it is very math heavy. Okay. And I want you all to get the similar experience. How do I teach the similar experience of doing face to face with an online setup? So let me show you what we have here. In the modules, okay, as you go through, there are chapter lessons for each. Um, there are let me go to student view so I don't confuse you with all my unpublished stuff. There we go. Okay. So you're going to have chapter lessons, and there's going to be some kind of an assignment right after that that relates to those lessons. Okay. Now, there's an extra credit opportunity, which is the live lecture discussion notes. Okay. And what this does, if you click on here, um, there is a link to the module for my spring 2025 live recorded lectures. So this chapter one on January 29th, this is me teaching chapter one live to my students. Okay. And with that, these in-class discussion notes, when I teach those classes, those live recorded lectures, they follow these notes pages. Okay. If you want to, for extra credit, if you watch that live recorded lecture and you fill out this form as you go through, just like my students were if they were sitting in class, filling out the notes page, if you submit that to that assignment right here, just submit the filled out page. Then for every chapter is going to you'll receive 0.25 points on your final average. Okay? So there are 10 chapters to our book. So if you were to do all 10 chapters, then I would add 2.5 points to your final average. Okay? Again, it's not designed to give you extra credit. Like if you have a low grade, like a low B, it's not enough extra credit to get you to the next grade level to an A. But if you're right there on the edge, if right there on an edge from a C to a B, then doing these in-class discussion notes pages will help you get up to that next grade level. Okay. Um, and so you just fill it out and submit it right here, just like you would submit any other document in a Canvas assignment. Any questions about that extra credit? No? Okay. So let's go back. Your final exam, everybody will take online. Okay. There's two reviews for the final exams, review one and review two. I will take the average of those two grades and make that your final exam. So if you get 100 on both, then you'll get 100 on your final exam. Okay. So that's how I'm going to do your online final exam. Now, we do have a certificate exam that comes with the book. So with the book, you should receive a Scantron that looks similar to this that has manage first on the bottom. Okay. This Scantron is what you will need to come in and take the certificate exam. It'll be in person. Okay. Um, but it's only required if you have, sorry, not the red Scantron, just it's this manage first Scantron. Okay. So you only have to do this if you have this. Now, if you got the book from our bookstore, it should come with an exam Scantron. If you got the book and it does not have the exam Scantron, I need you to tell me that because our bookstore should be providing all students with a new book that has the certificate exam Scantron. Is there anybody who has received their book that did not get the Scantron with the book? Has anybody not picked up their textbook yet? Okay.
I haven't picked up my textbook yet. Just Miss Barnes, Rachel Barnes, but I'm doing it
Yeah.
today during lunch.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Rachel, when you pick yours up, let me know if it came with a Scantron or not. So that way I can be on the lookout with the bookstore and communicate with them. Um, those of you who have not got your textbook, this is a book that you're going to want to get. Okay. I know sometimes you think, oh, do I need the textbook? Do I not need it? You need it. Not only do you need it, but it's provided for you. So there's no excuse to not have a textbook in this class. Okay. I highly recommend getting this textbook. All right. Any questions in general about the class?
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
This weekend I tried to access those live videos for chapter one, uh, the lecture that you did, but when I
Uh-huh.
clicked when I clicked on it, it says that I don't have access to that file.
Okay, let me double check. Did you go through the link that was in this, or did you just scroll down to the module?
Yeah, I just scrolled down the module and I tried to click and it wouldn't give me access to the live lecture.
Okay. Um, all right. So try it again. And the only reason why I say that is because I changed from my spring 23 to my spring 25. I may have done it over the weekend. So it may be that you clicked to an old module. So double check it again. And
Okay,
if you're still
thanks.
having issues, let me know.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Let's see. Yeah. So in the student view, Rachel, you could also just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and that way you don't click the link. It just scrolls all the way to the bottom, and you should have access to all of them.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. All right. So one thing, since we do have about 10 minutes, I want to do an activity with you all. If you have a piece of paper, great. If and a pencil, if not, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Um, let me figure out where I put it. Yep, here we go. I'll use this one. All right. So one thing that I stress with my students in this class is that this is an applied math class. Okay. This is not theoretical. So theoretical math is like algebra where you're solving for x, right? We don't know what x is. You're just solving for x, and that's just theoretical math, right? And so we are doing applied math. So in our applied math, we are applying it to the culinary, mostly culinary aspects of operating a restaurant. Okay. What is 36 divided by 4? Anybody? What's the answer to that?
9.
9, right? But 9 what?
9 ounces. I'm
Well,
joking.
no, it could, yeah, you're right. We don't know. 9 ounces, it could be 9 pounds, it could be, anything, right? And so in this class, we are going to add, multiply, subtract, and divide. That's all we're doing. There are specific orders that you need to do that in, right? And different ways that you need to do it. But in reality, we are just adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So if we take this math problem and we do, how many 4-ounce portions will we get from 36 ounces of salad mix? And so if we do the 36 ounces divided by 4-ounce servings, then we're going to get 9 servings, right? And so when we put these units onto the numbers, those numbers actually mean something, okay? Um, so let's do another one. 15 minus 3, 13. That's easy. What is that?
2.
2, right?
Two
Awesome.
ounces.
We
Two
got 2.
pounds. Two
So if
pounds.
we yield 13 pounds from 15-pound case of tomatoes, which means we start with 15 pounds and we yield 13, means we have 13 pounds left over. 15 pounds minus 13 pounds is equal to 2 pounds. That's how much we lost. So think about basic food prep. You're making a tomato concasse. You've taken the core out. You've blanched the tomatoes and peeled the skin. You've taken those seeds out. All of that product weighs something, right? And we paid for the tomato, the whole weight of it, but we're not actually using the whole weight. we're using a small portion of that. And so this allows us to make sure that we are counting our costs effectively. And we'll talk about that as you go through um, the edible portion and yield percentage. Okay. Um, so in this class, we are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Okay. There's one more thing I want to show you. And this is something that you're going to want to put into your notes. It is our notes page, I think for chapter 2. Don't quote me on that. I think it's chapter 2. It might be closer to chapter 4. But um, essentially, we have food cost percentage, and we have our selling price. Okay. With this triangle, this horizontal line acts like division, and then the vertical line acts like multiplication. Okay. The way that we manipulate this tool is we cover up whatever we're looking for. Okay. So if I'm looking for the food cost, I cover that up. And what remains is my percentage times my selling price. Does everyone see how that works? Okay, if I am looking for my food cost percentage, I have my food cost divided by my selling price. And this is one of the most important ones, our selling price. If I'm looking for my selling price, I want to take my food cost and divide by the percentage. Why do you think it's important? This one is one of the more important formulas from this triangle.
To make sure that you're not spending too much money.
Yeah, well, so to make sure that you are selling according to what you are making, right? So to make sure that you're selling your product at a high enough cost to cover all of your other food costs, right? How many times have y'all seen that special like three breakfast tacos for for $5, or three breakfast tacos for $3? We want to make sure that what we're doing is what wherever we're selling something for is that we're actually making a profit. We're actually making money on it, right? Now, an interesting point along that way is how many of y'all are familiar with Sam's and Costco? And they sell that rotisserie chicken for what, like $4.95, $5? Do you think they're making much money on that rotisserie chicken for $5? Martine says no, they're not. And it's true, they're not, right? But they get you into the store with the attractive price of $5 for a rotisserie chicken. And then how many people leave the store with just that rotisserie chicken? Right? And so they get you in the store with that attractive price, and then you spend money on other products as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean that everything has to turn a profit. Sometimes there are those items that people come in for. But for restaurants, we really want to make sure that we are looking at that food cost percentage and making sure that that's one of our key indicators of how well we are controlling our expenses based on that food cost percentage. Okay. So again, in this class, we are adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. We're not doing any fancy math. Okay. Um, each one of you, in my last minute, each one of you should see that you are enrolled in an MATH class. If you go to your Canvas dashboard, you should see an MATH class. That is your math bridge. Okay. Now, if you have taken basic food prep, then you are exempt from Math Bridge. You don't have to take it again. They will send me a report of all the students who have taken Math Bridge in basic food prep, but also if you have taken college algebra, the same thing. You are exempt from taking the Math Bridge. Okay. So they will send me a list of which students are exempt or who have already completed it. If you have not, then you need to go through that math module. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Um, in my last final moments with the Zoom, I just want to make sure that the reason why you are in that MATH class is because if you need to go to Math World for tutoring, then you're going to want to go. You have to be enrolled in a math class in order to get tutoring from the Math World. Okay. Um, the last thing I don't think I mentioned it was my office hours. So let me make sure. In the modules in Canvas, that very first module on Tuesdays from 2 to 3 and Wednesdays from 9 to 10. I will be in my office, but I'll also be on this Zoom link. So you can just click this and you can go right to my Zoom office hours. So if you have questions about homework, if you need questions about review about the project that's coming up, review on any course materials, the best way to get a hold of me is to log into my office hours. Okay. If there are no other questions, then you are all good to log out. I got your attendance registered, and I hope to see you guys throughout the semester logging into my office hours asking for help. I am here available. The best way to get a hold of me is email. Okay. Please, you can call me, but I don't check my email. I get my voicemails on Tuesday morning when I come back to the office. So if you send me a voicemail on Thursday or Friday, I'm not going to get it until Tuesday. So email is the best. Thank you all so much.